wanted, dead or alive. Notorious outlaw Jesse James has struck, robbing a train and stealing $2,000. Approach with caution. Reward of $1,000 if killed or detained. Details of the robbery are on the newspaper below. Western bandits at work. A train thrown from the track, the engineer killed. An extraordinary and daring robbery of a train was committed last night. The express train, bound east, due here at 10:15 last evening, was thrown down from the track at about 7 o'clock. Attacked and robbed, and the engineer killed. The spot selected was favorable for the deed, there being no inhabitation within several miles and no one in sight. The robber had removed the plates connecting one rail with those next to it and put a rope through the holes in one end and awaited the coming of the train. When the train was within glance, the rope was pulled and the train was thrown across the track. Simultaneously, several shots were fired in succession. The engineer saw the displaced rail and reversed his engine and applied the air brakes, which was his last act. Engine tender and 2 baggage cars were thrown into and across the ditch, and the forward trucks of the first passenger coach were thrown from the track. At once, the outlaw attacked the express car, compelled the messenger to give up the keys by holding a revolver at their head, and took from the safe nearly $2,000. This outlaw is dangerous, and it is encouraged that he is killed when seen. A bounty of $1,000 is placed for whoever is brave enough to get rid of this outlaw and prove of his death or containment. Stay safe, as he is dangerous and presumed to be armed.
Okay. World War I has a profound impact on the rise of individualization, reshaping how people view themselves and their role within society. The cause of the war had led many to question traditional values and their identities, such as nationalism and class loyalty. Many soldiers and civilization experienced trauma and loss on a massive scale, making a turning point towards the personal meaning and self-expression. People question their identities in the world that seems chaotic and uncertain. The war not only rewrote political boundaries but also sparked a cultural transformation and emphasized the individual's perspective and emotional experience over a collective of ideas. Considering on the negative effects of the war, people's lives focused on personal identity, often coming at a cost of community and sharing purpose. The trauma of the war has left many isolated and disconnected from traditional society structures, such as family, religion, and national unity. As many of the soldiers returned home, they often struggled with re-engaging with social events and no longer providing the same sense of belonging or meaning. Instead of seeing individuals only as part of an army or nation, the war physically and mentally struggles highlighted each person's unique experience and needs. These indicate health impacts, helping push society towards individualization and people beginning to recognize people's personal stories, identification, and inner struggles that have previously been overlooked.
Good evening, folks, and welcome to Channel 10 News. I'm Donna Bradley. In local news tonight, small business known as Henry's Handyman were forced to delay the grand opening of a new Baymont subdivision in the North Oaks area because of a statewide shortage in fence pickets. One of the up-and-coming residents of Baymont, Mr. Tim Norman, commented on his frustration with the delay, adding that him and his wife are ready to move into their new home, but they need a fenced-in yard for their dog, Skipper. Henry Fletcher, owner of Henry's Handyman, has issued a statement that construction will proceed rapidly as soon as the shortage is resolved. New this evening on Channel 10, do you suffer from chronic nightmares? Wallace Laboratories recently announced their new pharmaceutical Milltown that they are advertising to have strong relaxation capabilities to promote great sleep. It recently passed the clinical testing phases where it proved to help 70% of people get to sleep and stay asleep. Subjects also reported a decrease in restlessness due to nightmares. Side effects may include headaches, nausea, drowsiness, and muscle weakness, but if you are struggling with interrupted sleep, sounds like Milltown might be worth a try. Next up on Channel 10, it's Jerry Kaiser with the weather. And later tonight, CEOs across America are calling for employees to spend less time chatting at the water cooler and more time focusing on work. Hear what local business owners have to say tonight at 5:15. Jerry, over to you.
Good morning, and thank you for starting the day off with us. I'm Lily, and today we will be continuing our coverage of the growing concerns surrounding COVID-19 cases across the country and what the data is telling us as we move into the new season. Health officials have reported a noticeable increase in COVID infections leading to death over the last 2 months. The upward trend has caught attention nationwide. Here's the graph we're following this morning. This chart tracks the weekly deaths due to COVID per 100,000 people per week. As we can see, when the pandemic was first declared March 11th of this year, there were minimal casualties, averaging about 1 a week per 100,000 people, with around 20,000 new COVID cases per day. As we moved into April, you can see a big rise in deaths due to COVID-19. We hit our peak on April 18th when Americans began coming out of quarantine with around 4 casualties a week per 100,000 people and 30,000 new cases of COVID. After we peak, we can see a very slow decline, with last week's casualties being around 3 per 100,000 people. Officials say this upward trend is an early warning sign and could continue if safety measures aren't being followed consistently. This being said, preventing another rise in COVID cases and casualties is very important. You can do this by keeping businesses closed, remaining 6 feet away from others, and getting tested with mild symptoms or even solely just an exposure. During this time of increased COVID cases, we need to increase our awareness. Public health officials suggest that simple steps, such as staying up to date on vaccines, improving ventilation when indoors, wearing masks, social distancing, and limiting large gatherings remains the most effective way to slow the spread of COVID-19. We will continue to monitor the data, and we will bring you updates as new information becomes available. I'm Lily. This is your morning report. Stay informed, stay safe, and enjoy the rest of the broadcast.
Today I'm taking a closer look at how social media is changing the way Americans connect and how it may be making us more alone than ever. Social media platforms like Instagram, TikTok, and X were created to help people feel connected, but for many users, these apps end up encouraging self-preservation over real community. We spend hours curating profiles, posting milestones, and trying to gain likes. It looks like connection, but often feels just like a performance. According to the U.S. Surgeon General, digital connections often replace real-life social interactions, which weakens relationships and increases feelings of isolation. That loneliness isn't just imagined. It shows up across the country. Even virtual communities like comment sections and follower networks can give the illusion of belonging, but they don't offer the closest that comes from face-to-face relationships. Nearly half of adults in the U.S. say they often or always feel lonely, even while staying active online. And new research shows that the problem is getting worse. A 2025 study from Oregon State University found that adults who use social media the most, the top 25%, are more than twice as likely to feel lonely. Even quick, frequent checks of Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook are connected to higher levels of isolation. All this reflects something deeply rooted in American culture, the long-standing focus on individuality from the frontier era to suburban life in 1950s to isolation during COVID. Americans have often been encouraged to navigate life independently. Today, that same pattern shows up in digital form, where we build identities online but often disconnect from people around us. Social media may be the newest, cheaper chapter in American history of individualism, one where we appear more connected than ever, but feel alone.
As clearly shown by this Clearview Health graph, the more social media sessions you have per week will lead to high depression symptoms. And then as a decreased amount of sessions, you get a higher percent of low depression symptoms.